In this video, we're going to look at what happens when we are dealing with application problems, but we want to somehow combine functions. What's the process we would go through? Here's a hypothetical situation. Mr. Decker started reading a new motivational book on September 1. It was entitled School Starts Soon, How to Prepare Yourself for Another Year. Since he wants to finish it by September 23, he figured out that he must start reading 15 pages the first day and add 3 more pages each day. So by that I mean I'm going to read 15 pages on the first day, and then 18 more pages on the second, and then 21 on the third day, so on and so forth. We're going to make a function called f of x that tells how many pages I should read on date x, and then we want to figure out the domain. So at this point you could certainly pause the video, try to think through this a little bit more on your own. But somehow I need to build a function that's going to start me at 15, and then when I plug a 1 in I get 15, when I plug a 2 in I get 18, when I plug a 3 in I get 21, something like that. So you can imagine that it's probably going to have a combination of a 15 and a 3. The way I would think of this eventually, maybe through some trial and error, or maybe I'd make a little chart, but eventually I might come up with this where I've got 15 is kind of my base, and then 3 is related to the date. So maybe I'd start off with 15 plus 3x and realize that it didn't quite get me what I wanted. But when I do this, if I plug a 1 in here, 1 minus 1 counts as 0. This just goes away. So when I plug a 1 in, I only count 15 pages. When I plug a 2 in, I'm just multiplying 3 now by a total of 1. I add 3 to 15, I'm going to get 18. I plug a 3 in, I'd be getting 21. This does seem to work. Okay, so I can simplify it then. I can distribute and clean it up a little bit. I get 3x plus 12. But now, what's the domain of this? Well, it should, if it's built the right way. I'm going to finish on the 23rd, so it should go from 1 to 23. This would probably only use integers, so I'm using interval notation, but we're probably only counting nice whole numbers there. But that's how I would look at maybe that first example. Okay, later on September 17, Mr. Decker started reading a new self-help book called So You're Almost 33 and Your Voice Still Cracks. Now, obviously, I am maybe older than 33 at this point. I got sick of changing these notes year after year. So just for the fun of it, I'm going to put a question in here. How old do you think I am? Be careful. Continuing, since he wants to finish it by September 30, he figured out that he must start reading 5 pages the first day and add 2 more pages each day. So 5 pages on the 17th, 7 pages on the 18th, 9 pages on the 19th, etc., etc. Make a function g of x that tells how many pages Mr. Decker should read on date x and what is its domain. So this one's a little different. It's got a lot of similarities you could expect to see, just like up here we had 15 plus 3. Maybe I would have 5, because that's my starting value, plus 2. But now think about how I would apply this. Is it going to be x minus 1 again? So if you want a little challenge, just kind of pause a second and think about what it could be. But this is what we would get. It's still the 5 as a base, and then plus 2, which is the change. But now instead of x minus 1, I have x minus 17. And think about why. The first date I'm going to plug in is 17. If I plug a 17 in here, I don't want to add 2 quite yet. I just want the total to be 5. But if I plug an 18 in, I would want to add 2 more to the 5. So this does seem to work again. Just it's not easy, but if you see one, then maybe the future ones will be a little easier. Okay, well, first of all, I could simplify this a little bit, clean it up. And my domain for this, I'm starting on the 17th, want to go all the way to the 30th. So that would be my domain. Okay, last part. Now, I want to make a new function that will tell the total number of pages I'll have to read every day. So I can kind of plan ahead, space things out, dedicate a certain amount of time to reading these 2 books. So now I want a function h of x that tells how many pages I should read on a certain date. What is the domain? So I have these 2 individual functions. I want total number of pages. This tells me pages in one book. Here's pages in the other book. It would make sense to add them here. So this is definitely based on addition, but the idea here would also work for things that you multiply or subtract or divide. It works the same. So I'm going to take these two functions and add them together. The common pieces would just give me 5x minus 17. Now here's the tricky part. What's the domain? It is the overlap of these two things. What do they have in common? And that would be from the 17th to the 23rd. So that's the only main point here is just think of the two individual functions, combine them how you normally would, but then the domain is the overlap. We will stop right there.